Welcome to the Sailor Noob podcast, where a superfan and a noob talk about the original Sailor Moon episode by episode. I'm your host, Mika Hana, joined by my co-host.
I'm the noob, Caliban.
That's right.
Even the cuckoo and the clock is mad.
And we're a couple of magical people ready to moon prison power make up this episode. Sailor Noob is a part of the Just Enough Trope Network. Today we are talking about episode number 9, Usagi no Seinen Iwate Toke ni Goyojin in Japanese, or Usagi Disaster, Beware of the Clock of Confusion, the English translation, and the English title, Time Bomb.
Like I said. Come on, Deke.
You're
tripping over your Deke here.
They just phone it in.
What is the first? Yeah. What's the first idea?
Exactly.
If you could somehow go back in time to the idea before the first, take that one.
You got it.
Keep going.
Yes, exactly.
If this sounds like if Krang and Shredder came up with a plan to affect all the clocks in Manhattan, and the Turtles had to stop him, it'd be called Time Bomb.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so simplistic.
But luckily, there are 2 other titles. So.
Yeah, exactly. Would you like to give a brief breakdown, first impressions?
I'll do my absolute best.
All right.
I'm going to need a lot of help, though.
Okay.
We start underground, or wherever this place is
yes.
that the bad guys are.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I think they're worried, because we got 2 Sailor Warriors now.
Yeah.
So we got to step this up. And Jadeite tells Queen Beryl that he's got an idea. The humans, the more stress they get, the more energy they release. Is energy just heat or sweat or something like that? And if that's true, yeah. I'm a fusion reactor. So, and so we cut to Tokyo, of course, mm-hmm. And Usagi is taking Ami shopping in Harajuku.
Yes,
that's a name I know from a Gwen Stefani song.
Exactly.
And they're going to window shop. We know that Ami is rich, but she's way too well-bred to make a big deal out of it. So Usagi's going to take her window shopping because Usagi doesn't have any money. And we see that they're getting along. You know, they're having a good time together.
Yes.
And they're looking at all the things that they can see. And this is kind of like a montage, makeover montage.
Yeah.
Type situation. They buy books and they trade books, and Usagi is horrified at all the words in Ami's books, and Ami's like, these are all comic books.
Yes.
And they see a store, a clock store called Clock Look.
Yeah.
And they're fascinated because it's 50 to 75% off clocks.
They're super excited about that.
Is everybody, and we've seen this before, this is how we started this show.
Yeah,
with the sale at the jewelry store.
Yes.
So everybody is if everybody would just be stop loving these bargains, they wouldn't be victims of these horrible jewel people. But anyway, and Ami is like not really drawn in by this greed. She's just going along for the ride. Mm-hmm. They go to the clock store, and there's a clock that looks a lot like Luna, or at least it's a black cat.
Yes.
And Usagi's kind of got an eye for it. She can't afford it though. And Ami is once again just buying the clock. You can just buy a clock. But
right.
She's like, I'll come pick you up from school every day. You won't be late. Don't worry about it. So
right.
Once again, it's like, I don't know if I like this girl.
Oh. she's a goody two shoe.
She's too nice.
She's definitely a goody two shoe.
But she doesn't rub it in your face, and that's good. Let's see. I think Usagi goes home. Oh, and we see a woman with red hair. In a choker who's like
selling the clocks. Yeah, exactly.
So we know that. Okay, here's our bad guy. Usagi goes home, and it looks like her mom got her a present because she went shopping with Umino and Naru's moms because these are the only people in the world.
I know.
And she bought her the clock.
Yeah, the cat clock.
Because she's late all the time. Thanks, Mom. So and then Usagi says something interesting that I want to dig into in the culture segment. She says, "God didn't abandon me after all."
Yeah, that's kind of a weird.
Maybe we'll save that
throwaway line
for the future. Yeah, but I have questions about religion in Japan. But maybe we'll get to it later on.
Well,
she winds the clock, and Luna does not like this clock.
No.
Luna, as fastidious and on task as Luna is, she can be somewhat vain. She says that she's way better looking than the clock. And I
She
agree.
also thinks that the clock is a little too
It looks
sassy.
looks sneaky.
It looks sneaky.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what she says.
Yeah. And so you're going to have to explain to me how this works, because apparently the clocks that they are all evil clocks, right?
Right.
And they're supposed to, the next day, Ami shows up to the Tsukino household to pick up Usagi. It's the most Japanese words I've said in a sentence in a while. And Usagi left already.
Yes.
So what's the plan? What's happening here? Are the clocks getting people up early? Because if they get them up early, then they're not late for something. You know how you wake up before your alarm and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to have some cereal. I got plenty of time.
Right.
How is this causing stress?
Because they have this feeling, these clocks are instilling this feeling of, I don't have enough time. I'm going to be late.
This could change Usagi's life. She would be on time for everything.
But she's constantly stressed
but
that
even
she's
when they
going to
get
be
there
late.
and they are on time, then they feel like they need to move on to something else.
Exactly.
So it's more like a hyperactivity than
I think
being
so.
late. Well, okay. As long as you swap that out, it works.
Mm-hmm.
The effect of that is that a lot of people are missing from school, I guess, because they had to go on to other things. Usagi's eaten her bento already in first period.
Yes.
Miss Haruka comes in and she cancels class because she's got 4 dates to get to.
Right.
Miss Haruka, let's slow down.
Haruna.
Slow down, girl.
Yeah.
Anyway, everybody slits. And again, I'd like to reiterate that this is a complete dystopia. And we see that because the town is going crazy. Luna is just running around, and I don't know if she meant to, but she finds Ami. She's got the clock tied to herself.
Yes.
Luna's scale changes a lot in this series. She's as small as she needs to be. She's as big as she needs to be. I don't know how you tie a clock that's the size of you to yourself. How did you even tie it in the first place? But she's very resourceful. And so she needs she needs the power of Sailor Mercury and the intellect of Sailor Mercury to figure this out.
Yes.
So she gives Mercury a new item. She gives her a supercomputer in a makeup compact.
Yes.
Which is really neat. And she points out that she never gave it to Usagi. She'd had it this entire time.
Yeah.
She never gave it to Usagi because she wouldn't know how to use it.
I know. I love that she says that.
I had to stop the episode.
Oh.
So I was laughing so much.
I love that she says that, but it's blue and it has the Mercury symbol on it.
Well,
so maybe if she
customized it.
Yeah, right.
It was in her hammer space, her pocket
Right.
dimension. And so she customized it for her. They're checking out the clock. They open up the clock and like energy comes out or something, and they realize that this is a problem. And when they do it, and this is fine, public domain, but Tocatta and Fugue in D minor plays on the soundtrack.
Yes.
So there's a father of music coming back.
Very, very dramatic.
Yes. There is a bus that's speeding out of control 3 years before speed and causing a car wreck, and Usagi's on that bus, and the driver's like, all right, we got to get where we're going. Basically the bus crashes.
Yes.
And Usagi gets out and meets up with Ami and Luna. And Usagi is totally affected by this situation. You know, she's like, oh, wait, she's like, I gotta get home and eat snacks and play video games. Oh my God. So they decide to go to Clock Look to get this done with. And I love how like Usagi just wants to get this over with. She's trying to blast through this whole thing.
This is the first time we've really seen her take initiative.
Yeah. And they're like, what do we do? She's like, let's go through the front. It's going to be a trap anyway. Come on, let's transform. So they transform, and actually, she says moon power makeup or whatever, like faster. But of course, they're not going to speed up the animation, so she goes through the whole animation. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then Ami transforms as well into Sailor Mercury, and she doesn't. She doesn't go faster either. So come on, cowards, do it. I just noticed this time on her transformation that she like draws her costume on her with her makeup pen.
Yeah,
I think that's just a really neat thing. It's like differentiation from Usagi's transformation. Usagi immediately moon tiaras. It blows a hole in the door.
Yes.
And they just run in. But as soon as they run through, the door comes back and Luna is trapped outside, unable to help them. They come in and they do a double we're going to punish you pose. First time we've seen that.
Yes.
And they confront the monster, who is the woman from before, transforms into a more monstrous form. You know the deal. And she goes, catch me if you can. And she goes into her giant clock that she's got.
Yes.
On the other side of that clock is a Salvador Dali world.
Yes.
Where all the clocks are melty, and it's very confusing. And Usagi, of course, is like, come on, we gotta do this. Mm-hmm. Mercury takes out her computer, and she gives herself goggles, which allow her to see, which is really kind of weird, but cool.
It's a little visor. She touches her earring, and it appears, which is pretty cool.
So they're going to use this to track down the bad guy, who's named Ramua, I think.
I think so, yep.
And Usagi wants to run off, but as she does, she transforms into like a toddler Usagi. So she quickly backs up, and she's like, whoa, okay, well, maybe we can slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Tuxedo Mask shows up just in time, but nobody's there. So he's like, wait a minute, am I late? And I noticed that when Mercury's looking at her computer, there's like RoboCop references on there. It says like
really?
Arrest mode, and then at one point it says serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law, the 3 directives of RoboCop.
Yes.
So this 5 stars coming up, ruining it right now. There's also a point where they finally find the monster, and she's like, you should run away, and Usagi's like, you should be the one that would run away. Which reminded me of Captain America and the Avengers.
Oh,
you will be the one escaping. So apparently this is a threat in Japan. Sailor Moon is totally affected by what's going on. And there's a badass villain. We'll talk about this in the villain thing. But this villain is like overpowering them. Meanwhile, in regular time, Tuxedo Rose is like, well, throw a rose at the clock, I guess.
Yeah.
Throws a rose at the clock. That's the source of Ramua's power.
Yes.
Suddenly she's powerless, and then it's go on queen time.
Yeah.
We get another Shabon bubble, or a Shabon spray, which I looked up. So Shabon is soap, but it's also bubble, which makes a lot of sense because she uses bubbles all the time.
She does.
And they defeat the monster. She falls away, and the shop was never there. They're standing in an empty lot.
Yes.
And everything's fine. And then Naru runs up and says, hey, there's a speed eating contest at a donut shop.
Like a cake shop, yeah.
And then Usagi is like, let's go. And she trips and falls. And Luna's like, oh, you little dullard, you'll never change.
Exactly.
And I got some issues with that, but we got to move on.
Yes. That was a wonderful breakdown.
Wow.
I think
to break down.
You hit everything.
Your Honor, a courtroom is a crucible. In it we burn away irrelevancies until we are left with a pure product, the truth, for all time.
Oh man, this is so intense. Data's on trial for his life.
I know. This episode, The Measure of a Man, is based on the Supreme Court's Dred Scott decision of 1857.
And every week on Backtracking, we take a look at the real-world events that inspired classic Star Trek episodes. Sorry.
Shut up! Who are you?
We're the hosts of Backtracking. I'm Caliban.
You will both be taken to the brig and from there to the nearest starbase, where you will answer charges for what you have done.
And I'm Gooey Fame.
This is not a game. This is life and death.
You can follow us on Twitter.
Backtracking is available wherever you listen to podcasts.
You go f*** yourself.
So I thought on Kyoro Miru, Curiously Looking Around, where we talk about Japanese culture in the episode, I thought we could talk about
that Harajuku style.
Oh, that's actually a good point. I didn't even think about that. We'll come back to that one another time. I thought we'd talk about being on time in Japan.
Whoa!
And how incredibly important that is. And apparently, when I was doing research on this is not something that always was in place in Japanese culture. Actually,
Are you going to tell me that there's some like parable of a rabbit or something like that hopped everywhere late? Or
No. I mean, maybe there is, but
that's Aesop, right?
Right.
Isn't it? Or is that just some American tale, the tortoise and the hare? But I feel like every culture has their
something
tortoise and the hare tale.
I wouldn't be surprised if that existed, but
right, well, sorry to derail you.
It's okay.
We're late. We gotta go. Come on.
Yeah, up until the late 1800s, like pre-industrial Japan, a Dutch naval officer of the 1850s, Willem Huyssen van Kettendijk, wrote in his journal, quote, "The idleness of the Japanese is quite astonishing."
Whoa.
End quote. And apparently trains used to be up to 20 minutes late.
What? They just got trains. What do you want?
I know.
Some American sailed into the harbor and pointed guns at them. And they're
Yeah,
like,
I
all right,
know.
well, give us a train. I don't know.
Well, during my research, I found out there used to be something, and this came over from China, that they used to use, which was called incense clocks. And
Oh, sure. Incense clocks, water clocks. Yeah, there's all kinds of like ancient time
so
things.
this is the first time I heard of it. So they were clocks that were customarily used in Japan and all over, and like it would time a certain amount of, it would gradually kind of time things out depending on how quickly the incense burned.
Yeah.
And would give you a general sense of time.
Sure.
It wasn't until during the Meiji period that being on time became such an important part of Japanese culture.
Yeah.
Because
the barbarians were mad if you wouldn't show up for the treaty signing at the right time.
Well, right, and it was thought to be a really key part of Japan industrialization.
We've talked about this before on the show, I think. Not to stereotype an entire culture, but it's like Japan doesn't do something for a long time, and then they're kind of, I know people like this, then they're kind of forced to do something, and then once they do it the whole way.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So it is back in 2018, there was a JR West Railway train that left its stop 25 seconds too early. And this prompted a huge apology from the company and public outcry and criticism. And it was a big kerfuffle.
Any weed in Japan?
That is a really good question. I'm sure it exists.
We should, how do we do this? Let's have, it'll be fully legalized here.
Right.
Someday, sooner rather than later.
Right.
Let's get the ball players endorsing it, right?
Oh, boy.
Then maybe that'll make its way to, or is it too late? Japan's like, we know what we're doing with baseball.
Right?
How do we get it over there? They need to relax is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Take the gloves off.
Yes.
Well, finish shoving people into the train, then take the gloves off.
Right,
relax.
exactly. So it was around the Meiji period that watches actually became very popular, which I think plays into
they're on
this
sale
episode
at Clock Look.
very well. Yes. Especially since the 1920s, it's been huge. And so most people show up. They consider to be on time 10 to 15 minutes early. So if you are exactly on time, you're kind of considered to be late, in other words.
Well,
so
whatever.
They're
I like to be precise.
Yeah. I read an article in which somebody came back from one of their breaks like 10 seconds too late.
I've had a boss like that.
And, got in trouble for that. So, I mean, people can be really persnickety about it.
Take it easy. I have something about culture I want to talk about.
Yes.
In the montage of all the things that we see on their Harajuku station shopping spree, we see Big Bird.
I thought we saw Big Bird.
There's a Big Bird figure.
Yeah.
And I was like, is there Sesame Street in Japan? There is. There's been Sesame Street in Japan since 1971. Almost...
right away.
Yeah, right away.
Yeah.
It's one of the most successful, popular children's programs in Japan. Has been for a long time. And part of the reason is the English lessons.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
You sit your kids
I
down,
didn't even think about
and they
that.
go, it was brought to you by the letter R or whatever.
Yeah.
And sure, there's subtitles in Japan,
Yeah.
but you get it. So it's been so popular. It actually went off the air. It's been kind of on and off the air here as well. But they started a co-production, their
Really?
own sort of Sesame Street Japan version with Japanese actors in Japan. That started in 2004. Here's the plot twist. People don't like it, and they say it's really bad. Now, one reason is that they've lost the English side of it because now it's all Japanese speakers. They do stop and do like specific English lessons, but is it the same kind of conversational hearing that people want? So they're mad about that. They also aren't sure that they like some of the cultural things that are happening in the show as well.
Like what?
Like, for instance, there is a plot line where a child is running a race and trips at a school sports festival.
Okay.
And the show had the other students stop to pick the kid up. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Whereas that was a Sesame Street workshop, so a children's television workshop. But the local producers were like, that wouldn't happen in Japanese culture. So we don't want to put that in our show.
Wow.
So put that in your pipe and don't smoke it because you're super uptight.
Wow. Okay. That's kind of depressing.
Big Bird.
Yeah.
Really big over there.
Yeah. That actually makes a lot of sense. There are shows in Japan that literally just teach you English, and there'll be a couple of like choice phrases or what have you, like each episode, and adults watch those. So it makes sense to me that they would like Sesame Street for the same reason.
How easy would it be to do that here?
It would be super easy.
I mean, who does? But the problem is that every single square inch of real estate on TV is bought and paid for. Mm-hmm. So are they on like a government channel or something like that? Do they have commercials?
They do have commercials.
And that's how you say kitten. We'll be right back. Skittles.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely commercials.
Well, if we had that here, it'd be amazing. And then what am I talking about? Like, there are a billion cable channels that some are very low rent. So, yeah, there should be a language education channel. There should be a channel for every language on DirecTV.
I mean, that would be great.
All right. Soapbox off.
I know.
Sorry, Shabon box off.
So most kids, they have to learn English in school. So that's probably why those TV shows are so popular.
Yeah.
Itadakimasu with Usagi, where we talk about what she eats this episode. When they are in Harajuku, they have, and they don't really focus on this too much, but it looks like they have like some sort of sundae or a parfait that they're like eating, or like an ice cream cone. And then, of course, Usagi eats her bento like right away in class.
Is this the kind of parfait that would have cornflakes in it?
Yes, probably. Yeah.
How did we pull that off?
I don't know.
You've seen The Informant.
Yeah.
Why would the Japanese care about cornflakes?
Well, this is the way I see it. Like, you know how sometimes cabbage can be seen as like filler in food?
Sure. I get it. I used to eat ice cream and cereal in college because I had no hope. But yeah, it's a texture, it's flavor. I get it, but there's no corn over there. Where's the corn come from?
They're plain cornflakes. Well, they don't have a whole lot of cereal, but they have cornflakes and they have frosted
But it's
flakes.
amazing that we just sell them corn.
I know.
Anyway,
it's weird.
Sorry, keep going. Good job, industry.
My Heart is a Kaleidoscope, where we talk about the fashion of Sailor Moon and what the heck they're wearing. I thought we could talk about Usagi in Ami's shopping outfits.
They got little outfits, yeah. I don't, I'm a man, I don't really remember what they look like, but they are kind of skirty and jackety, right?
They kind of look like young businesswomen.
Yeah.
Sailor Moon's is...
Do Japanese people dress up to go shopping?
I don't...
In 1992?
Maybe, but it just seems like they like to put them in clothes that are maybe a little bit more sophisticated. I mean, they are junior high students.
Yeah.
So, I would...
But I mean, if you went to Harajuku today, you would just see fistfuls. But you'd see fistfuls of just high school students and junior high students running around in whatever.
Yeah, that's true. So Sailor Moon's wearing like this pink little number with a skirt and a top and kind of like a sailor type collar.
Right.
And Ami is wearing a blue dress with a button-up yellow cardigan.
Right. Cute.
And then the outfits that they hold up while they're shopping, I don't even remember what they look like exactly, but they look like old ladies' clothes.
Well, they kind of go like, oh, it's great. It's so great. Not. I don't think they had not back then, but they're like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, they were both like, I don't think so. So, and then, so we're already up to villain gauge, where we rate our baddie 1 to 5 dark stars, 5 being the most wicked. Our baddie this week is Ramua. She has face tattoos And remember when Usagi did her disguise pen? She dressed up like a misfit.
It's a little misfitty, yeah.
It's a little misfitty.
Yeah.
She's got like a star tattoo.
Going back to that well a little bit.
And then like kind of like red triangles on the other side of her
she's
eyes.
got like vertical slashes.
Yes.
Yeah. That's like war paint or something like that.
Is this supposed to look like hands of a clock or something?
Yeah. Every week I try to figure it out, and every week I don't think that there's an answer necessarily. You are the Engrish whisperer.
Oh, well, I tried.
I got that T-shirt made it for you.
I like that.
Figure out Ramua. I can't figure it out.
I can't figure it out either. Ramua.
I was thinking, is it like Rama, like the supreme being in Buddhism? But it doesn't have anything to do with time, really.
Yeah.
Although I'd say, are we rating the villains?
Are we reading the what?
Rating the villains?
Yeah, we're rating the villains.
Thumbs up.
Yeah?
This is a very powerful villain. First of all,
Yeah.
her human form is she's got red hair and green eyes, and she's wearing a choker, and it's danger. She's very attractive.
Yeah, and she's wearing a spaghetti strap like red
Slow down.
dress. Very 90s.
Make it last.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Well, sorry. Anyway, so anyway, yeah.
What's going on here?
She's kind of hot in her monster form too. Look at what's going on here. She controls time. Okay.
Yeah.
She's got a sweet face tattoo. It says damaged.
Yes.
She can shoot time rays. She has a pocket dimension that she can bring people to. She has a scythe.
Like a maze. Yeah.
Like we're leaning really hard on the theme here, but it's all on point here.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got it going on.
Yeah.
And it took both of them and Tuxedo Mask all teaming up
Yes.
to use their powers
Yes.
to stop her. So
You are absolutely right.
I gotta go 5 dark stars on this one.
Okay, wow.
This is
All
strong
right.
to very strong.
I'm gonna give her 4. I do think that she is pretty badass. I do like the face tattoos. And she doesn't look very scary, like when she turns into a Yoma, but she's pretty cool.
Yo mama.
Yeah. I thought we could talk a little bit more about Ami since it's only her 2nd episode.
Sure.
So I thought we would. This is going to be something I think that's going to be reoccurring. Her last name is Mizuno.
Yeah.
Or Mizuno. I'm sorry, Mizuno. Mizu means
It's a sporting equipment company.
Right. Mizu means water.
Okay.
So basically, her last name means of water. But if you look up Mizuno in Japanese, it says water field.
Water field. Like a rice field or something like that? Or just like a flooded plain?
I'm not exactly sure. I feel like no must be field.
No.
But also, no is like they're of.
Yeah.
It's like they're connecting kind of word.
Of water.
Yeah, of
Yeah, we got
water.
it. Mizuno.
Yes. I love her supercomputer thing. I love her little visor that she
I mean,
gets.
it isn't presented to her, but she gets like 2 accoutrements in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
She's got RoboCop visor. She's got a computer.
And I love
none
her
of
visor.
them are a substitute for a personality.
Oh, you don't think she has much of a personality?
We haven't got there just yet.
Okay. Well, I mean, she's a goody two-shoe.
Yeah.
I think...
Don't ask me to rate her yet. It's not going to be a good rating.
Okay. I won't ask you to rate her yet. I really enjoyed the Harajuku scene because I feel like she doesn't really spend a lot of time relaxing and having fun.
Yeah, it
so
is.
I think Usagi was kind of like showing her how to be a kid, how to enjoy yourself.
Yeah,
you know?
That says personality to me.
Because she's studying all the time.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
We gotta go.
Okay,
Go.
So then we are up to rating the episode 1 out of 5 roses and then giving our English title.
I don't condone half ratings, half rose ratings. Half a rose is not a very good gift.
No.
It would actually sit better on your lapel though if it was a boutonniere. I'm gonna go 4.5.
Okay.
Here's why.
All right.
Fine ass villain. A lot of good action. How are we going to do with our first 2 sailor episode?
Right.
Good interplay between the 2 sailors. Creative use of tuxedo mask. It's just, I'm worried about a trend forming, which is Usagi has become, the show will always be called Sailor Moon.
Yes.
But she's becoming superfluous in her own show. Like, Luna literally cuts her out of the action. She's just like, hey, new, smarter, more responsible, better sailor. What's up? Let's do this stuff.
Right.
And, Usagi, even at the end, is like, oh, I get to eat. Oh, don't. And like, that's my Usagi. Boop,
Yeah.
boop. I know I love a buffoon, but I don't love, like, the butt of a joke.
That's fair.
Yeah. So, 4.5. Almost had a 5.
Okay.
Almost had it all.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 4. And then my English title is Maze of Time Awaits.
It's pretty good. My English title is Young Girl Makes for Fun Fast Times.
I like it.
Does it? Have a seat. We gotta get out of here. The cops are coming.
All right. Next episode, we are talking about episode number 10.
Yeah.
Noro Warate Basu. Hono no Senshi Mazu Tojo in Japanese, or The Cursed Bus, Enter Mars, the Guardian of Fire, the English translation, and the English title, An Uncharmed Life.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we gotta do that.
Yes, we do. Well, that's our show for this week. In the Name of the Moon, we'll be punishing you next week with another episode of Sailor Noob.
Oh my god, I've got snacks and video games I have to do.